don't know what that song is, but it gets me up and about.
It gets me going, mate.
It gets me going. Gets me going. Hey, if we ever have a Pom Junior ×3, that is going to be the backing music of the making of that. But everyone, welcome to the selection panel after a break, but also a win. We haven't done a selection panel after a win as usual. I am joined by host of the Navy Blue Corner, and he's always positive, but he's more positive this week because we've won a game. Ian, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, Pommy. It's been nice to have a bit of a break from footy. Weirdly, coming at the worst time because you finally win a game and then you go, I just want more football now. The week before it was I never want to see a game of AFL again, and now it's give me everything. So I don't know, much needed break, but I'm very happy to be back here.
Does feel like a lifetime since we've done this show when we're not trying to drop. It was weird. I've got to say, when I went and did the team, I actually found it hard to drop anyone. Like usually, I'm finding it hard to make a 22, right? And I'm like, oh, I've got a player there. I need players. It's a weird vibe, isn't it, when we win?
It's strange. I was definitely the same. Looking at things, it was just, oh, well, I don't want to make too many changes because, if you want to be that positive side of things, well, it all of a sudden worked. Even though it was Gold Coast, it worked. And do you want to change it knowing how bad we've been this season? Do you just go, okay, we'll keep the same thing? But that wouldn't make this show very fun if we just kind of kept things too simple.
Mate, I agree. We always try and get creative. And Lekdog, we nearly lost you through the losing streak. And I've got to say, I spend a lot of time with Lekdog, and I saw his evolution from cool, calm, mild-mannered Lekdog into petulant teenage Lekdog, where everything he said was sarcastic. Have we got the old Lekdog back?
We'll have to wait and see. I couldn't help but think of David Teague, though, there, who never made changes after a win. Remember, we used to win a couple of games under him. We were like, why is Mark Murphy still playing? He's like, I don't make changes after a win. But it would be a very boring show if we didn't make any changes. I managed to sneak a couple in for you folks at home.
Mark Murphy. Hey, we were just talking about that off air. And Carlton, when we used to delist old players to move on, but the same players got to play every week. Who is, I don't know if we were talking about my video and chat. I'm sure you've watched it because you're all regulars. Who is your favourite player that's no longer with us? Start with Ian. What do you think?
Maybe start with Lekdog. I'm going to need a second if Lekdog's got one.
Give me your names. Favorite player.
I've got a million names. If you're going back a little bit, Brett Thornton, Michael Jamison, a couple of guns there. Actually, Michael Jamison was underrated. If you're thinking more recently, we did talk about him a lot off air. Matty Wright was one. Who's one that I really missed that I wish we didn't let go? Like Andrew Phillips. I really like. Just for pure necessity, depth on the list. Like, I do not understand why we got rid of Andrew Phillips or allowed him to leave, but there's a few names for you.
We don't have enough gingers, to be fair. Ian, who are you going to throw at me?
Oh, look, Heath Scotland became one of my favourites through his career. It was like the back end of his career was when I was finally old enough to properly understand the sport, and he became like player I just watched to like, holy shit, this guy is the best kick in this team and runs all day. Andrew Walker was just a human highlight reel, but could back it up. He wasn't just a specky. He could do other things as well. And then I think I was about to say right there, Marky, Chris Yarran was just what could have been the talent and burst of him halfback or doing whatever he did on the field was just amazing.
One of the few trades we've won.
I went to Cade Simpson's. I think it was his 300th. It was either his 300th or his record-breaking game. And there was about 4 other people in the crowd. I think it might have been against Port Adelaide in Melbourne. There's about 6 people showed up.
It's a big one. There's been a few of those.
Lekdog's back to being cynicky.
I mean, I know. It was true. We used to have all these milestone games and we wouldn't show up and then we'd cheer Bryce Gibbs off. So when he was playing for a different club. So, I'd like to think as a club we've moved past that. But yeah, it's been a rough few years.
I've got to say the name we mentioned him off camera. I reckon Matty Wright, man. Matty Wright is the leave. I think Chris Yarron was my favourite when I first came here, and ironically, one of the few trades we've ever won. Like we traded him and he never played a game. Like that was unbelievable. But no, Matty Wright, because I think Matty Wright is proof why Carltons have been pants for a long time. You punish the guy that actually does his job, but keep the guys who might one day be better than him. And I'm pretty sure all them small forwards that were meant to replace him are now working at Carlz, aren't they?
Michael Gibbons is another one that I feel bad for because I love Gibbo. Worked his way up from the VFL. Absolute jet, inside mid, ball. We get him. You're at full forward, buddy.
It still baffles me that we never tried him in the midfield. The one place he was great at, even if it's at the twos, it's like give him 10 minutes in the guards. What are you doing?
It's the same as Paddy Dow. He won the Liston. Just let him do his job.
Do you want to be depressed, right? Me and my mate, we were talking about it's been requested that I go through every draft and trade since 2013 after that video, and I was like, okay, let's do it. And I've started making some plans, and we were talking about, the 2015 draft, Zach Fisher came in. Sorry, 2016 draft, Zach Fisher came in, and I was saying my big issue with Carlton when we've bought players is we buy players. And we do the opposite of what other clubs do. We see that they've got a small bit of skill set to play somewhere else. So you look at Fisher as a draftee, played on the ball exclusively in the Waffle, broke into the Waffle senior side as a diminutive inside midfielder, known for his exceptionally clean hands and his hunger for the ball and tackle pressure, right? Now, we got him, and there's an article I found, Sauce going, we see that he could be playing at the high half forward and pinch hit in the midfield. Do you know who played exclusively high half forward since he was drafted? He was taken the pick after him. Just guess who it is. It'll blag your head because what Sauce has described is that player.
2016. I can't even think of who that is. Who is it?
I'll give you a clue. Richmond,
2016 draft. Why can't
I'll give you another clue.
I don't know what that is.
Just holding something out at you.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Shai Bolton.
No.
Oh, God. Great start. You've lifted the vibes early, Pommy.
Yeah, but it's just what I mean. It's like you say, the mid-season draft. Mickey Gibbons, Josh DeLuca. You need a pocket forward. Craig Lawson was in that draft who kicked something like 30 goals in 12 games. And we went Josh DeLuca. It's just that thing that Carlton have historically done. Like, right, we need a small forward. Let's find an inside midfielder that's probably too small to play inside midfield, but could be a small forward. It kills you.
We need a wingman. Will Setterfield, you're the man.
Yeah. Like Connors, Gary, I reckon Sauce drafted Connors, and it's just luck that he was injured, so he never got to play back pocket.
Yeah.
like if he was fit from day one, he would probably be now the back pocket specialist. Ronda, luckily, Nick Austin hasn't done that. He has, like when he said we'll get wingers in the draft, I was expecting inside mids. I was genuinely shocked he bought two. It's one of them things, though, isn't it? It's one of them things.
Interesting. I wonder if this happens to other clubs or we just don't analyze it as much, but I just do not believe that for a second.
I can confirm it doesn't. But let's get straight into it. Let's have a look at what Mr. Michael, the legend that is Voss, did. So we're against Gold Coast, one of the best contested sides in the comp, stoppage specialists. This is what he brought out. He keeps doing it. I've noticed, putting players in random positions in his team sheet to wind me up. This is actually the worst. This really affects my POM CD massively because there is players just all over the show here. But Lekdog, I'll start with you. When you watched this game, was there anything that you hated or anything that you loved about the team selection?
Well, we spoke about it on this very show, and then the follow-up stream, which we did, it must have been on the Friday, that we thought that this was the best forward line we'd put together all year. Mackay, Cunningham, Martin, Curnow, TDK to pinch shit, and then Owies, obviously on this, they've got Cottrell at centre-half forward. They must just dump all the players into a random number generator and spit it out that way. That's, with this team. But we were positive.
I am trying to work it out because how they enter it. Like West Coast did it the other day, and it was obviously alphabetical order. So whoever had inputted it, and you were like, okay, I see. Here, I'm just trying to think, what did they do?
No, you'd have to be really good at the Fibonacci sequence or understand pi to the 100th decimal or something to work it out. But no, we were really positive about this lineup last week or 2 weeks ago. And going into the game, I was pretty positive. Probably didn't think we'd win 59 points. I think I tipped us by a few goals, 2 or 3 goals, something like that. 59 points was a great win. The big thing, Pom, was that they just played a completely different game style to what they've done all year, which is how we won games last year. Again, I think it solidifies that thought process that maybe our top-end talent isn't the problem. Maybe it's how we're utilising them. They played players in their correct position and they allowed some free-flowing footy and we won the game. So, no, I was really, really positive about this side last week and I'm still positive. I thought big shout-out to I know the story is Cunningham came back and him playing with Martin and the 2015 draftees playing together for the first time. But for me, it was a guy like Fogarty coming in and just doing what he does in the VFL at senior level, tackling, and then he got rewarded with with a help out goal from Charlie, who just gave one over the top. So, yeah, no, it was all positive for me from the weekend. And Newman, as we said on the show 2 weeks ago, would free up Sard, and he did that, and he freed up Sard. So, I think very happy.
Ian, what about you?
Echo all of that. It was good to see quite a few changes finally being made. It felt like we were never willing to really wield the axe. I know we were on this show, but it didn't feel like Vossi and the selectors really were. So it was good to see them actually do it for once. And I guess it kind of worked. And I agree, great to see Cunningham finally fit and get that opportunity. It wasn't incredible, but was fine when he was out there and definitely adds a different look. And yeah, I was impressed with Fogarty for just staying a bit closer to goal. And then when he was actually high up the ground, he influenced the contest, whether it was through pressure or anything. Whereas I feel like we've been let down with some of our smalls when they have pushed higher up the ground. They just haven't really been involved. And then it's hurt us moving the other way. So I think that was definitely a positive when you've got a guy like Martin, Cunningham and Fogarty that can all kind of almost play as mids at times. And I wonder if that as well kind of allowed the midfield to float forward and have maybe a bit more trust, because you noticed a lot more goals from midfield. I wonder if they were like, oh, well, I see Cunners is there. I back him in. I'll just quickly see if I can, get something forward to center. I think really apart from that, I was pretty impressed with, I guess, Doherty on a wing, particularly from a center bounce. I thought that was really a highlight of getting guys running and wanting to impact the contest and then burst from it. It was probably the best we've had all season of getting guys actually hitting the contest at speed, whether it was Doherty, whether it was Walsh, Chera, these kind of guys getting the ball in their hand from the stoppage was kind of the impressive thing. But yeah, I agree with Lekdog. Definitely a lot of it was how we played rather than the personnel, but they went out there and got the job done, and at least it was something different everywhere, selection and game style.
I don't know about you, Pom. What I liked from, and you just touched on this, in that the mids were able to push forward a bit more, but I actually think that started in the back line with, Newman was taking the kickouts and actually moving to sort of 35, 40 meters out before he kicked it, meaning the ball was not getting held up on the defensive side of the wing. The ball spilling onto the offensive side of the wing.
We are the only club in the world, I think, that hasn't worked out that you can play on from a kick-in.
And we did it, right?
It shits me every week when I watch them. I'm like, especially when it's Saad, because I'm like, Saad could probably get to 50 before anyone even thinks about it.
Yeah. Yeah, which is crazy, right? But they did it.
I remember against Essendon, it was Sam Wiedemann guarding the kick in. And I'm like, surely Saad knows if he runs at an angle, there's no way that Wiedemann's catching him. Like he knows that that's just there for the point. But no, I agree with you. I really liked as well, and I think this is a big thing. Carlton had 11 changes at stoppages this week, as opposed to Voss's average of 7. And that's the most we've ever seen. There was a lot of rotation. Doc went through there. Even Charlie appeared as an on-baller in front half stoppages. Carlton really did roll the dice on that, and they had to. And I'm hoping this year, I think Shane makes a great comment that they've added them 2 layers of the fast ball movement, but the defensive layer has been solid all year. I'm hoping it's not because Voss realised that the only way Gold Coast have won games is dominating out of the centre and stoppages. And that's been a tactical adjustment of really focusing on that area. And this is more of a return to just being that one attacking side from there. I hope we see this week. I think this is the test. Hawthorn, they're a counter-punch side, which traditionally this year, we've seen Voss flood the back half of the ground to try and compensate that. I'm hoping Voss goes in with this and goes, nah, we'll beat them up at the contest. Like Gold Coast did, beat them up. And ultimately, Hawthorn have got young legs. They will do the rest for us. What are you guys thinking, Ian? What are you thinking while Lekdog looks around his computer? I don't know if he's dying.
I'm just choking to death over it.
Not ideal there. No, I definitely agree. And I think in doing a bit of a mid-season analysis on the podcast, we kind of saw some stats over the last few rounds, at least that the meters gained by handball went from about 92 to like 270 something. It was something ridiculous. And our corridor use from defensive 50 went up a ridiculous percentage. And just those little things feel like it wasn't just the game against Gold Coast. It was there in little elements in the Essendon game. Obviously, it doesn't all work out for us. So I'm hoping that attacking nature is there, and looking at the team we've kind of got and changes I think we'll make, I feel like that run and carry is still going to be there. Hopefully that they can just keep that mentality that when it doesn't go our way, we can draw from the Gold Coast game and go, no, we've got this in us. And I think maybe that's the biggest thing to draw from that last game to take into this one.
Lekdog?
Look, there's going to be a lot of talk. Oh, coming off the bye, teams are getting smashed. Like, this is one where we've unlocked it last week, 2 weeks ago. Repeat it. The opposition's actually worse. They're going to throw an extra back behind the ball. They're going to use Will Day as a loose. You've got to be prepared for that. They're going to get plenty of the ball. They've still got accumulators in that side, but I don't think they've got the attack required to win the game. So it should be another opportunity for us, for everyone to be involved and hit the scoreboard. And I think it starts with, taking on the corridor, being confident, not necessarily rushing it, but certainly just sort of, we were far more attacking on the weekend, and I'd rather lose being attacking than lose being defensive. So we know that Hawthorn are going to be defensive, but we can push through that with the guys that we have. So we've got at least one force change this week, gentlemen, in terms of Matt Cottrell. The injury report came out today. It doesn't look like there's many injuries. So I think we'll have a bit of fun putting this team together. But what I'd like to focus on as a collective, with you community commenters, is, let's build an attacking team again.
Make Carlton attacking again.
Exactly.
Yeah, running. That should be your running for presidency speech, Lekdog.
What is my? I do have a presidency one. Love it or sleeve it is my presidential catchphrase. So.
Oh dear, oh, dear. Well, we do love slaves around these parts, and thank you very much to Ugur. We should win 49, mate. We better do. We do. We better do. We better win. Thank you very much for your donation. Well, you've asked, did Pommy pick Fisher to appease him? I've sacked Fisher live on the show with Terry. And we continue that. I am testing mine and Terry's friendship to its very extent. But here we go. The man that likes to cut the team, I actually had an option this week. I thought about Hewitt. Right. And I thought what went really well last week was they got back to basics. They really nailed on the ball. And I thought if Hewitt comes in, that's kind of taking away the hard work they did. Although it was against Gold Coast, it has to be said, top 3 side in them facets this year. So give him another week in the VFL. I don't think when I watched the VFL, he was dominant enough as he should be against kids, right? And Werribee are a very well-united team, but I didn't watch him and think, you're knocking the door down. So I want Kennedy to have another first crack as Cripper's offside of this week. Cottrell out. And I brought Bins in, and I hate to do it. First time I've done it. Dow sub. Do you know what I mean? I don't think Dow is playing in this 22. And I think sub, bit of a selfish reason this. If you give him that 20 minutes every game, it puts him in the AFL spotlight. He's looked pretty good the last 20 minutes. Hopefully that maximizes the return for us. I don't think he serves a purpose in the VFL either. I think that's Carroll's gig, and I want to see Carroll get another week as the premium on-baller. So that is my team. All I did to Voss's team was put players in the right position. Thoughts, everyone?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard to argue with it. Cottrell for Bins. Hewitt's an interesting discussion. We'll discuss him when it gets to my team. I just, spoiler alert, I pulled Dow out of my team just because I'd like him to play a full game for the week. He can be the resident sub the week after that. I just think it's not... And I saw a conspiracy theory on Twitter that he's being the sub every week because he can't win the JJ list if he's not playing VFL, which I love. I do love that, but I just want him to play a full game, and he's not going to get it in this team. So I removed him from the sub, but I totally understand him as the sub Pom. So not a huge surprise with this. Maybe just your starting lineups, but you can lie on your starting team sheet and just change it on the day. It doesn't matter. AK, I want Doherty to start on the park, and I want Pitto to start on the park, but that's just me.
Yeah, you can argue that. I mean, to be honest, that they're all playing, aren't they? So, do you know what I mean?
Doherty was named bench last week, wasn't he? Or someone was.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I did just do a little bit of a laugh. I put TDK as the starting ruckman. I thought, I'm going to let him have first crack at Ned Reeves. But no Sicily for Hawks. I figured that I want to see this forward line get some more bread and butter and really get into the big games that are coming up. So, and I thought, Bins, this is the perfect opportunity for him. Akers, you asked the question. I think it was Anthony. What's happened to Akers? Yeah, he's been really down, to be honest. But I want to see what happens in this team with Bins actually being an attacking wingman. I felt Cottrell got lost somewhere in the half-forward line, and then Doc went into the wing, like Ian said. And too very defensive-minded. I want to see how that looks when you play the traditional defensive side with Sard attacking behind him and overlapping him, and then Bins being really aggressive on the other side. I want to see how that looks. And I figured this is a good time to do it because I don't really rate their width players at Hawthorn other than Amon. What are your thoughts, Ian?
Yeah, look, it's a good team. I do like the look of it on paper. I don't think it's a week you can probably make a ridiculous amount of changes. Obviously, you get the win, which clouds that. But even off the VFL form, I didn't feel like a lot of guys really put their hand up. Like Bins played as well as he has continued to play. And you got guys like a Motlop, like a Hewitt, Silvani. I don't think they really knocked down the door or did a lot to try and push for it. So it's really hard to argue anyone else in, and I don't think there's been a lot of bad form for a few of the players. And I guess in saying that, those that maybe haven't played it as well, there's not a direct replacement. So I do like it, Pommy.
Well, I've got away with it.
Pom, can you just clarify for Ethan? Must be a mistake. No Ed Kerno. Ethan's just asking in the chat.
I've tried to encourage Voss to get rid of Ed Kerno since I think round 3. We're in trouble if I bring Ed Kerno into this side. I might bring it. Spoiler: GWS. I might have lived in Australia long enough to give him a ceremonial goodbye. So, spoiler alert: I might have done it. Ryan and Mel, no, you can't. If you are suspended in the AFL, suspensions apply for all forms of football. So you can't. So Cottrell will be feet up, probably having a beer at the G, watching the boys beat Hawthorn. Hopefully, well, we'll pick on Ian.
Yeah. Ian. So haven't made a lot of changes. Have not made a lot of changes. I've brought Bins in for Cottrell, which seems like the pretty simple move, really. It's the most like for like in that kind of attacking-ish wing role. Guy that can run, guy that's got some pace to take the game on. Cottrell's been a little bit down, but I think when he has influenced the contest, he's been really good in being involved in those little handball chains to move the ball through the corridor, and hopefully that can be something that Bins can be involved in there. Apart from that, I've started, I guess, like Doherty on a wing because I did quite like the look of that, and I thought it was quite attacking, but obviously we can keep rotating, and that's what I want to see. I want to see, Doc then go into defense when he needs to. Bins move to the wing. You've got maybe a guy like a Cunningham and Fogarty, they can go into some center bounces, and you can just really throw guys around and try to bring pace around it, which is kind of what I've looked for. Kept everything pretty simple. I thought a little bit about dropping maybe an extra defender because we've potentially got one too many. And I was looking at either maybe a Boyd or a Chincotta because a big part of me wanted to keep Paddy Dow in this team and actually give him a full game because every single sub appearance, I thought he's been good and he's kind of deserved a proper run at it. But it's like, I don't know if I can drop either of Chincotta or Boyd because I think Chincotta's burst through has been really impressive. And I feel like he's just growing in confidence at the moment. And every single game he's taking it on more and more, which I've really liked. And then you look at Boyd, he's got that penetrating kick that no one else in this team does have. And so for me, I just didn't feel like I could drop either of those, which means Dow misses out. And then it was who's the sub? And it's kind of the hardest thing I have to come up with every single week because I still don't think we really have a perfect sub not playing in our 22 at the moment. And yeah, I think at the moment I've gone for Fisher. I don't love it, but I want a bit more of an attacking player, sort of front half of the ground kind of player. And at his best, he's kind of that impact player. He's not that at the moment, but maybe that can be something. He needs to be a spark. The other one I was tossing up was maybe a Motlop in a similar vein, but I think at least Fisher can maybe play the midfield a little bit more, which allows a bit more versatility in case there's an injury or you need someone on a wing. It's not perfect, but that's kind of what I've gone for in the sub. Very, very open to changing that up and being convinced of something different throughout this episode. But what do you think?
I agree with Ethan. Where's Plowman? So,
mate, get him in the forward line. He kicks goals.
I agree with you. You see, my issue is with Dow. And you know what? I was copping a bit of hate for having Dow as sub. And wait till you see Lekdog's team. Tell you what, I'll drop my email. You can send me an apology. But I agree with you. The sub's interesting, isn't it? Because I agree with Peter V. Fish, he played half back. Didn't really do much in the VFL. And then he went forward and he happened to snag, which then leads me to think, have they just told him he's gone?
I think he's told them.
Yeah.
And too.
Is that the sign with Dow as well, that he's gone? That it makes no sense? And then I also think about JSOS playing down the back half. You've only got to watch the first half of VFL and see that that's not a full-time thing. Surely not. But It's a tough one because you're right. Who is our sub? Like, you look at the other teams and they've got players like even Malian Pickett before he went crazy. He was a decent sub for him. Every team seems to have that impact thing. And the problem is, like you say, Jesse Motlop, he needs that full game time to actually do his job because he was horrendous versus Werribee. Like, he proper went Zumba squad. So it's the wrong message. So I agree. It's a tough one. I like the team, though. I mean, Binns is in, and I think the sub at this point, are you cruel to be kind and give it to Dow, or do you let Dow play a full game in the VFL? Because there's no way he's dropping that midfield. Like, Hewitt probably comes in, if we're honest. But
And that was kind of another reason why I didn't have Dow in as much as I wanted to see him get a full game. Was that's the best the midfield's functioned all season. So I'm wary of touching and messing with that a little bit too much. So, and then it was just that sub thing. And it's just frustrating. We don't really have that pacey player that he might not be the most skillful. He might be a little bit erratic, but he just brings something, energy.
We do have that player. He's suspended this week.
Yeah,
true. I know everyone
true.
Thinks that he should be in our best 22 every single week, and I put him in a couple of times. But let's be real, he's not a best 22 player, but he'd be the perfect 23rd player every single week.
Yeah, it was genuinely, if they had a position for sub off criteria of you were a sub and you had to do it off your sub performances last year for All-Australian, he was going to win it. He was unbelievable. And I agree with it. It's like we lack this a lot of these pacey players, but we lack them in the 22 anyway. So it's that kind of issue of, well, if you've got pace and flair, well, you're in the team because we've got none of it. So you're kind of struggling. But I think it'll be interesting how Binns goes playing if he does come in first game, if then when a Cottrell comes back, whether Binns keeps his spot and then Cottrell gets to play the sub.
Yeah, and we're assuming they're going to bring Binns in, which based on their track record, there's no guarantee that'll happen. I think it's a great game for him to come in and have a crack, though.
If Hewitt comes in, though, let's just say in chat and you guys, if Hewitt comes in, are they just going to heavily rotate that wing?
I don't know. I couldn't fit Hewitt into my starting 22. I just, for that very question, because whose game do you sacrifice? Because Matt Kennedy's been really good. He can go forward. They persist with him going back. He's shit when he goes back. You've got Walsh, who you could rotate on a wing a bit more, but I think you lose a bit. I think you want him attacking into the forward 50 as much as possible from the guts. I think he was pretty good against by bringing in another full-time inside mid. I don't know. We lose a fair bit, and particularly a lot of our mids can drop back behind the ball if they need. But then, as you pointed out, Ian, we've actually probably got one too many defenders in the team already. So there's probably not room for George Hewitt, which is difficult because he's a big free agency acquisition last year, and he helped Cripps win the Brownlow. And his numbers, his tackles were really good in the VFL. Can you leave him there? Does he have to play seniors? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Yeah,
I think at the moment, me with Hewitt, I kind of agreed with what Pommy said earlier. Watching his VFL game against Werribee, it was just, I was hoping that would be him just dominate. And I didn't see that. There was a few glimpses. Wasn't there as much as I would have expected. And knowing he's obviously had a few potential injury concerns throughout the season that maybe have or haven't been documented, and that the form was low, I'm just like, give yourself 2 or 3 games in the twos. It's not a bad thing. It's not me saying he's done and we're never going to see him again, but just get a bit of a spark back, get some consistency back in your game, because you said it right there, Lekdog. Like, he's a big reason why Cripper won the Brownlow. He was probably second best midfielder last year. There's definitely a spot for him in this team. Where is it at the moment? I'm not sure. And I guess off last week and the pace that we had around the contest, I'm not about bringing him in off a not ridiculously amazing twos game so far. And I think we all kind of agree as far as starting.
I stole that line from Paul, by the way. So,
well, yeah, no one's picked O'Brien, and he was very disappointing in the VFL.
He was bad. He's any confidence he did have from you and I, Pom, talking about him every stream has completely dissipated. And I imagine that he's probably wrapping up his time at Carlton. He's not playing like a guy who's got a job next year, is he?
Yeah.
You know what disappoints me is when we talk about Dow works his ass off. I can see Dow's not petulant. I can see Dow's trying to prove a point, and I think that's why everyone's got behind him. Like 2 years ago, everyone hated Dow, and now everyone's behind him. And I think a part of that is Dow's attitude. I think he's turned up every week for the VFL. You can see he's putting in. I watched O'Brien this week, and I was just thinking Cottrell's got suspended. Hollands is out for most of the year. Binns, you can see the club are reluctant to play him. I was thinking Werribee, cold afternoon. If I'm O'Brien, I'm getting my job back. I played 20 games last year. I'm getting my job back. And he literally, like, he was easily the worst on for me. Like, of the AFL listed players, I'd say Honey had a more impactful game.
Yeah, and I think we've done a good job of somewhat protecting Binns. He's almost the first draftee that we've had that has actually been performing in the twos, and we haven't just rushed him straight into the starting lineup. We're almost trying to develop him a little bit by saying, no, it's okay. Just go into the twos, learn your craft. You'll eventually come in. But I think we protected him enough now. He can come in. It's Hawthorn, not to say that they're a ridiculously poor opposition and think that we've won the game already, but they haven't been playing the greatest of football. We should be better than them. And I think that this is definitely a less pressure now that we've got the win against Gold Coast. If there's a time to play him, I think this makes the most sense out of every opportunity there he may have had before this one.
I think you nailed it. And Lekdog, you swung the axe.
Bring up Markymark's comment from before. He said Hewitt as sub. That's what I've done. I've put Hewitt in as the sub. Reasoning being Dow, I just want him to play a full game. Hewitt, he's not going to get any better in the twos, but he's also not good enough to be in our starting 22 right now. So fucking chuck him in at the 3/4 mark when we need to take out Jack Martin. I'm wondering when they're going to stop doing that, by the way, Pom. I'm wondering when his program allows him to play a full game. You can chuck Hewitt behind the ball and you can move the magnets around with a Doherty or a Boyd and move them forward. So I've got no hesitations with him as sub. Binns in for Cottrell, simple. And we talked about there being that one too many defenders. I think particularly with Newman back in the side, Doherty, Sard, Boyd, Kemp, McGovern, Wiedering, I think also having Cincotta is a little bit superfluous. And it's a bit of a toss-up for me between him and Boyd. But I think Boyd's kicking elevates him. And so I brought in Jack Carroll. And that's kind of like I talked about I want to build an attacking team. I feel like he can give me most of what Zach Fisher gives me, except he'll probably be at the club next year, because I don't think Zach Fisher will be. So I think similarly, we can play him as a I'm not sure. You can kind of play him rotating through the wing, maybe you play him half forward, pushing in, or you can play him as sort of a bit of a defensive player in the forward half. But either way, I kind of want to see him as well. I want to see him on senior level. And, let's think about the future. I know we need to win 7 of the next 8 games, whatever it is, to try and play finals. So let's focus on, we've got Hawthorn. They're a young developing side. Let's use an opportunity to play a couple of our young guys, get ready for next year, and really start to work out who we want on the list for 2024. So that's where my team comes from.
Mate, you swung the axe, bro.
One of them's a sub change. It's only 2 changes.
Tell you what, dropping an Italian at Carlton.
Yeah, I know. I understand. I understand the commenters are going to argue with me, but I want to see Jack Carroll. It makes sense to remove a defender, and I think Boyd was better than Cincotta last week. And I'm just looking through the VFL to remind myself who played there. Lewis Young, he's not getting back into this team. Although, if we do think McGovern's going to leave, at some stage we may see him come out of the team and make way for a Lewis Young again. Motlop, Cowan, Silvani, O'Brien, Honey, Dom, Yeah, none of these guys really lit the world on fire. Lemmy, yeah.
No,
So it's Bins and Carroll. Let's go young. Why not?
I really like it, to be honest. Because I brought up the one too many defender, and I would agree with you. If I had to get rid of one, it would be Chincotta. As much as I think he's been really good the last couple of weeks, it's just
he did nothing wrong.
What he offers, I think a few others bring something similar. Whereas I think Boyd's kicking obviously is that point of difference, and that kind of keeps him in this team. And I also think that Boyd, well, he has played previously in at least VFL on a wing and a bit higher half forward, so he's a bit more versatile as well as far as positions he has played. And I actually like the Jack Carroll shout, to be honest. I almost maybe should put him as my sub, thinking about it, because he had that sub performance against North where he obviously, he didn't play for long and didn't do a lot, but they chucked him in a couple of centre bounces and he got his hands on the pill pretty early, which was maybe a little bit impressive to see that he was probably on for 5 minutes and had about 2 or 3 touches, so he could clearly find it. And yeah, I like the idea of just looking at him and seeing what you can do, because played his first game back from a bit of an injury against Werribee, and he probably was one of the AFL listed players that I was like, yeah, not a bad game from him. So yeah, it's a decent shout, and at least it changes things up, and maybe that allows Cunningham a bit more midfield minutes or something like that. And versatility is always something I love to see.
Mate, we love an utility, me and Lekdog. We do. To answer Lou and Bugspell at the same time, answer question Lekdog selection. Carroll was an interesting one because his AFL numbers when he plays, they make it look like he's taking the piss in the VFL. He is a peculiar customer, Carroll, that he is one of them players. He's like the antichrist of Sam Kerridge or Nick Graham. He is the kind of player that if he had a dog shit VFL game, I would bring him into the AFL, because there is something wrong with him that he does things in seniors that when he plays VFL, he kind of just fucks about. And it's either he's incredibly gifted or he's confused. But Bugsbell, I would say if Carlton make 3 changes this week, your 3 changes will be Ed Kerner, Jack Silvani, and George Hewitt. That's Pom's big call now. And I hate to say it, because Ryan and Mel said there's a rumour Sauce is coming in. What are your guys' thoughts? Because I am, and I'm sure Ethan, I know Ethan agrees with me, and I know Lekdog does, and I'm sure Ian does because he knows football. That's an assumption there that he's going to agree with me.
We'll see.
But I think you can only play Kennedy and Hewitt as your best 22. I don't think you can play both of them, to be honest. I think they're too one-dimensional. And then I think you can only play JSOS or Martin. I would say if TDK and Pitternet play, JSOS can't play at all. But I would say if Martin's there, it's JSOS or Martin. If they suddenly bring JSOS into that team, I'm like, you are going tall against a side that has lost 2 toes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I am a Carlton fan.
We've worked very hard to get to a point where they stop putting extra talls into this team. I'll be really disappointed if they remember the magnets are there again. But he's another one, and this probably isn't the platform to talk about it, but he's another one where I realistically don't see why he would be on our list next year. So and it's reflective in the fact that they're playing him in defence when they drop him to the 2s. It's like that's got to be sending a message, and I don't believe the message is, oh no, we just want him to work on his defensive craft. So, he can't come into the team, and he can't come into the team unless TDK and or maybe Martin come out of that side. But even then, I'm not loving it.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. I just worry with him, and I think I've said it on this show before, where I just don't know exactly what his perfect role would be in this team, and I feel like while I love the fact with a JSOS, you ask him to play a position and he'll do it, and he'll crack in, but what's he perfect at? What's he really good at? And I just don't feel like his traits suit the rest of the squad and what we're building around it. And small sample size of last week, but having a Fogarty as a small, having Cunningham, Martin, those guys around that forward line, I thought it flowed a lot better. Whereas I guess just a little bit worried where you throw in that extra tall, that doesn't have that great use by foot, brings a little bit of pressure, but I still don't think it's the greatest. I just don't know. I don't know what his role is, and yeah, I'm not sure he works currently.
Ethan loves your jumper as well.
Oh, thanks, mate.
It is
Appreciate
a great
it.
jumper.
One of the great football clubs.
I will say, when you said that Jesus will do like anything the team thing, like he's aimable. When I was at school, there was a kid called Harry Rawlinson, and he'd do anything for a laugh. And in year 9, for a chomp bar, he ate a Pritt stick, and he had 2 weeks off school because he had his stomach pumped. So it's not always a good thing.
No, it's not, and that's why I kind of want us or JSOS or someone to just be like, no, this is my position. I need to nail it down, because it's kind of been another reason that I think he's failed at this point, where we don't know what his best position is. We don't know what his best role is, and he hasn't nailed it down, and he's not seemingly nailing it down, at least in the twos. Like, he needs to be going back there, playing that forward role and seeing if he can do it. Because even this year in the St Kilda game, he was decent in that forward line when he wasn't rucking, but yeah, he's got to do a lot. And
for me, if it is a forward ruck role, right, and they're going to just persevere with Pitternet, which obviously he's going to be there for 3 years, I don't know why he doesn't forward ruck in the VFL. And they say, look, Pitternet's going to be 90% ruckman at the worst case. If Jesus plays, he's going to be 10% ruck. So give him that role in the VFL, because it is, and I know Lana loves him, and I love Lana, and I'll be sad for Lana if he goes. Like, truth be told, Pom has no attachment to players. I'll sleep like I do every night. But I do think when you change your role at 25, 26 in the VFL, that is a sign you're out of the door. And genuinely, because he was okay in the back half, but let's be real, he ain't getting above Kemp. He ain't getting in when Zach Williams is fit. He ain't getting in above Newman. He ain't getting in above Doc. He ain't getting in above Sard. Do you know what I mean? He ain't getting in above Wheatering. And he played that intercept role. And it's a shame. So I think the best chance, and I'm with Dion, I'm all about Nate Caddy, because Nate Caddy is Jack Martin crossed with JSOS's reliability. But he's got something that me and Lekdog crave: availability. He's always fit.
A man could dream.
Yeah. But no, I think, JSOS, like, this team's crying out for pace and foot skills, and unfortunately he has neither. And I think that kind of lets him down with looking at this list and what we're needing.
Mate, I agree with you. Well, these are the teams, so chat. We go to the best bit of the day. We get to pick these miscreants. Right, so let's do it. So all the names are running at the bottom of your screen. We will take one each and chat. We're going to trust you with 3 this week, because I'm a nice guy. So, Lekdog, give me someone you're going to throw in the back line. Make sure it's a backman as well.
Nick Newman.
Beautiful.
It's disappointing, Lekdog, when you don't be petulant and you're like, TDK, back pocket. Ian?
Well, he should be playing there, but anyway.
Ooh, I like that. I will go Brody Kemp. I've been loving what he's been doing. Stay there for the rest of the year. Brody Kemp. Okay. You guys make it tough because you take the players that I want to save. You know what? I'm going to be boring, chat. I'm going to take Wheatering, right? So I'm going to give you guys the hard job. So I will update our little screen. So all the names. So Wheatering's, I was going to say Wheatering's dead. We won't even say that. Wheatering's gone. Touch wood, please. Oh, God.
Wheatering's gone. So is Kemp. So is Newman. So chat, I need 3 names from there. I can see Chincotta is coming in because you're trying to spite Lekdog. I love it. We can't, the rules, Locky Jack, I would love to change the rules, but the rules are laid out. It has to be names that are on that scrolling bottom that have been mentioned.
I'd love a playerman, but
Pom's like changing the rules, but we are sticklers to rules as well. We are sticklers to rules.
Sard is getting a lot, I tell you what, as he should.
I tell you what, Michael,
Kid
there,
Woods,
there's a rumour going around Twitter that your mate, McGovern, has re-signed a deal. Do we believe that?
I can believe no one else would want him.
You know what?
I'm just so rude. I actually really like him.
I do as well, because there's not many people who will cop the hate I gave him when he first came and then have a beer with me. So Mitch will always be the man in my eyes, but it'll be interesting. I don't believe Twitter though, unless the people on this screen say it. I usually put it down as codswallop.
Yeah, the fact that no big journos are really talking about it or saying that there's even discussions happening so far has kind of made me a little bit hesitant to buy in.
If he did sign on for less money as a thanks for the $800,000 a year, I wouldn't be against it. But yeah, I'd be surprised.
Mate, I agree with you. I think it's. I think he will stay, though. I genuinely do have a belief. But it looks like the team is Newman, Wheater, Kempchin, Cotter, McGovern, and Sard. Chat, you did the halfback line, and you know what? You always get it right. I tell you, I'm always impressed with you guys. So I've just removed Chin Cotter. That means you've pissed Lekdog off. So well done. He deserves it. Right. He's been miserable for the last 2 weeks. So
he's way better than Sam Doherty, so I get it.
See, you can't take the cynical Lekdog away. So now we're doing the followers and the centre line. Lekdog.
The followers and the centre line. I'm gonna put Sam Walsh on the ball. You can whichever one you want, whichever position in the ruck line you want.
We're on the ball. We're on the ball.
I love Sam Walsh, man.
Oh, he looked good. Finally, getting a bit more of those CBAs up and some pace. Hitting the ball with pace is what we need to see. It's been good.
Mate, I agree. Now, Ian, who are you saving? We've got Walsh on the ball.
I will go cheekily Doherty on a wing. Which is very textbook me.
Ian's found a cheat code.
I hadn't even listed there.
Hey, you know what I mean? He's found the cheat code. There is no rules of where we play the players anymore. We just completed that role. Oh, gosh. You know what? The midfielders, I just find it hard to like them because they've let me down all year. You know what? I've been harsh on him all year, and I'm a man that likes to admit when I'm wrong, right? So TDK, he was brilliant last year. I'm starting him as the ruck. You know what, Pitt? You can get fucked, mate. Stuck up for you all year, and I'm a man. So, chat, you've got 3 to make. We've taken Walsh and TDK, so we need one more follower, a winger, and a centreman. G'day, Darren.
So,
hey, mate, you're never late. You're just on time.
Guys like Kennedy, Cripper, Chera, Akers, those sort of guys are all available.
Binns is potentially available if you want to give him a start there.
I think technically George Hewitt's available because I had him as sub, but I wouldn't recommend that, everyone.
Dow's available too.
So the names running there, Chesney looks like he's a lock.
Yeah.
As he should.
Kennedy, Cripper.
Getting a lot of love. It took a while for the Crips to come through, and I was like, Jesus, they're going to drop Crips.
We've forgotten him like we forgot Motlop that one week.
Binns, Chera, Cripper.
Chera's definitely in.
I don't mind the Binns, Chera, Crippers because Akers wing only had a couple of Akers. Oh, Akers. There's a few flowing through now.
So who's winning the last one, Lekdog, in your opinion?
Have we got are we looking for a wing or a...
Oh, you're looking for anyone.
I'm biased because I want a wingman on the wing.
Yeah, me too.
It's really split between Binns and Akers. Like, it's honestly 50-50.
Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing. So,
okay,
couple votes might have pushed it.
Next one after Jordan, if you say Binns or Akers, he'll get it.
Ooh.
Come on. Be quick. I can't wait for someone to put Plowman.
We got a comment about Cunners on the wing.
We got Charlie on the wing. Yeah,
Binns it is.
Binns. There we go.
Thank you, those in chat who didn't want to wind me up. Ethan, to answer your question as well, I did actually have that rule in mind of not letting anyone just pick anyone because I have to post this to my Twitter.
Yeah.
And
people message you, don't they?
Yeah, but some people get angry when we've selected this team, you know, and I say it's everyone. Like, it's a collective effort. And people are like, how dare you have this player here? Like, it's not me. Like,
get your votes in. Get your votes in. That's the way to change it.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, don't have a go at me. You know what I mean? Like, I hope Bossy gets that abuse. So we've got rid of him. Akers is gone. Binns is gone. Right, there we... that looks about right by my eyes. So forward line, we've got Akers, Boyd, C. Kerno, Carroll, Cunningham, Dow, Fisher, Fogarty, Uwit, Kennedy, Martin, Mackay, Owens, and Pitt.
I'm going to jump in and go Jack Martin because I will not let the commenters leave him out of this side.
So, yeah, you're thinking...
Yeah, it's tough because that's the thing. Do I go someone I'm desperate to save? And maybe I will. I'd have him on my bench normally, but I'm going to go Lockie Fogarty, forward pocket, because I think he deserves another run.
Oh, that makes it hard, doesn't it? Because my two boys, I can only save one.
Talent.
I need to start fabricating the rules like Carlton, so I have more power.
All these comments have to go under the independent committee, and we'll tabulate the votes if they accept.
I am saving Cunners. I tell you, I want to see him because
like that, Pommy.
Gary's become my boy in chat, and I couldn't do that to him. So, chat, you have the hard job because we've taken the cool kids as we often do. So we've got Fogarty's out. Martin and Connors. So you need 3 forwards. For the sake of Lekdog's OCD, 2 of them have to be a key.
Yeah, so we've picked 2 for you.
Hit full forward.
So you've got Akers, Boyd, Charlie Kerno, Carroll, Dow, Fisher, Hewitt, Kennedy, Mackay, Owens, and Pitternet to make up 3 forwards.
Charlie Mackay, Owens, Charlie Mackay, Owens.
He's getting a lot.
Hey, Shane, it's not that hard, mate, but you say it's not that hard.
We know who it is. It's Mackay, Kerno, and Owens. Look at them all. I do like Jack Martian. I think we should start calling him Jack Martian.
Hey, chat, do you want Mackay at full forward? Or Charlie, you know what? I'm going to appease my friend Ethan, and I'm going to put Charlie Kerno at full forward because it will bait people on Twitter too. But that's the thing.
Need that engagement, baby.
Trust me, I don't do any bait on Twitter because I can't stand the fallouts on Twitter. It absolutely does my head. I used to do the bait posts, but honestly, it's too much effort. Always.
Easy.
Looks like Always has got it, I think.
Lock him in.
Oh, tell you what, now we get the bench. You know what, chat? We're going to give you the hard job as well. So you get 3. You get 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you get 4. Yeah, so there's 5. So you get 2. So you get the sub. Pom's maths there. It failed him. He was like, what are these things?
There's a lot of gears turning, I can tell you what.
Yeah, you know, that hurt me head. So you're going to get the sub and the last person. We've got Cunners is safe. So far, we've got Newman, Wheater in camp, Chincotta, McGovern, Saab, Binns, Cripps, Doc, Cunningham, Mackay, Martin, Fogarty, Charlie Kerno, Owens, TDK, Walsh, Cherry, which leaves these beautiful boys. Akers, Boyd, Carroll, Dow, Fisher, Hewitt, Kennedy, Pitt. That being said, the first man on the bench, Mr. Lekdog, is...
Of course, it's Mark Pitternet.
Beautiful.
Of course it is. Against his old club, fired up.
Ian,
this is tough. This is tough. I don't know. He wouldn't be my save choice, but for team structure, it's Blake Akers.
Yeah, I was like, I like it when we get to this stage and we have no control. This is where it's good, when you hand the control over to each other. We've got to trust each other and trust the chat for team structure, and then you have to have that because of your... Oh, who do I want? Boyd, Carroll, Dow, Fisher, Hewitt, Kennedy. You know what? I feel nothing for any of them but Matty Kennedy. Matty Kennedy, I'm saving you. I'm going to give I'm handballing the chat. They have the hard job. So
Come on, chat. Do not let us down.
So, chat, I want you to give me one name and then put sub for the others. But the players left are Kennedy. He needs to be removed. Boyd, Carroll, Dow, Fisher, and Hewitt. One of them is in the bench. One of them is sub. So comment sub someone and then normal person, if that makes any sense.
All right. Seeing a few Boyds float through early. Jeez, I'm really intrigued what they do with this.
Yeah, this could go anywhere.
Boyd,
Matthews
Kennedy,
has
Kennedy
come in
and Boyd.
with Shane Matthews says Dow and Fisher, which is what I was expecting. Boyd. Oh,
not happy, man.
Rafa, I agree. Raf, just say it as you mean it, my friend.
Boyd.
You know what? Next week, for a laugh, we might bring in wild card. Chat are allowed to bring in a wild card player.
Just any player.
Just any player. He's got to be fit though. I want none of this shenanigans. Like I don't want to have to post bloody Cooter or someone like that on the fucking sub bench. So it looks like Boyd has got the last available spot.
Dow's got a lot of these sub votes. I tell you what.
I
was going to say it looks like Dow's won the sub count.
Jed Lamb would be good. Sicily's not playing. We don't need Jed Lamb.
Hey, so that means by my count, right? Who's out of that team? Who have we got out there? So we've got Newman, Wheatering, Kemp, Chincotta, McGovern, Saad, Binns, Cripps, Doc, Cunningham, Mackay, Martin, Fogarty, Kerner, Owens, TDK, Walsh, Chera, Pittner, Akers, Kennedy, Boyd. So
that's only one change.
One change.
That's just
Binns for Cottrell.
Yeah, here we go.
Tell you what,
the Pom team.
You all requested. Hey, that was my team, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, chat. Hey, chat. It's not often it happens like that. Hey,
I feel like that's the first time we've had one of our actual teams get properly selected. Unbelievable.
That's because I normally make sure I get my way.
Lekdog usually stiffs me, but this time...
I remember you guys asking if we could move TDK into the ruck, and I said no.
Bring back the old new Lekdog.
So there we are, chat. That is your team, right? That is your team. If this team
probably going to be the team.
To be fair, if this team gets selected and we lose, I will take 100% responsibility. But that is your team, and I've added the in and out as well that you all requested. A few of you reached out to me and said, can you get an in and out so I can see what that looks like, what we've picked? But there you are. Look at that. Newman, Wheatering, Kemp, Chincotta, McGovern, Saad, Binns, Cripps, Doc, Connors, Mackay, Martin, Fogg, Kerner, Owens, TDK, Walsh, Chera, Pittner, Akers, Kennedy, Boyd, Sub, Dow, in Binns, out Cottrell, Carlton, by 82.
Lock it in.
Yeah. Blues by 10 goals.
Oh, fuck, that's the biggest margin you've had since like round 2.
It's the biggest, maybe in 2 seasons doing this show. Since we started doing the show last year to now, we've basically lost non-stop. We got on a hot streak. Well, we should do a show.
For perspective, if you've not watched me and Lekdog on teams, Terry Lekdog, when he first started, was as positive as Ian. And I've stayed the same, but Lekdog has gradually... It's like the fucking arc of Joker, Lekdog is.
I did follow me on Twitter. I did post a Joker meme the other day that was Blues inspired. They drove me crazy.
It does scare me that Lekdog might become the Joker. Like one day, just go on a
fun. I've just let myself go and have a bit of fun.
Yeah. But Ian, as always, mate, thank you very much. Make sure you go and subscribe to the Navy Blue Corner. They've done an absolute terrific video, which is where I got the inspiration for the Guernsey video. And you've just dropped a mid-season review as well, haven't you? Which took 3 hours.
Oh my God, we've split it into 2 parts. It's massive. If you want to hear a little bit of talk about the season so far, part 1, if you want to skip that nonsense and just get straight into off-season trade talk, episode 2. You'll love the part 2 because we could talk for 10 hours on potential trades and all of that stuff. So yeah, Navy Blue Corner, if you're keen on listening, hopefully a win this week and a good review.
Mate, it is amazing. I'm looking forward to listening to it. And Lekdog, you'll find Lekdog on Jock Reynolds and usually wherever I am. He's Lekdog's my sidekick. You know what I mean? He's my glamorous sidekick. But make sure you come and see us. We will be on Teams Friday where we actually see if we were right. We haven't had one right, have we yet?
No, we've got close, but no. We got close last week, I think, but didn't quite get there.
I thought we'd get it last week, so this could be it. This could be the week. This could be the week. So make sure you come and see us there. We'll be back next week. Enjoy yourselves. Thank you very much for your engagement. We love you all. See you next week. Go Blues.